Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom Airsoft. It is good to see you again. If it's your first time here, then as always, it is good to see you. I'm glad you stopped by and I hope you'll stick around. Okay, well, welcome to our regular weekend video where we discuss all sorts of subjects to do with Airsoft, our wonderful sport and hobby of Airsoft. We look at all sorts, tech reviews, gear reviews, replica reviews, bit of teching, just pretty much everything you can think of to do with Airsoft we try to have a quick discussion about at the weekend. As what many of you may know if you follow us regularly, normally I'll look to do a gameplay video midweek, and we'll do that normally on about a Wednesday, and that'll be our midweek gameplay video. But today we're on our regular weekend video, which we'll upload every weekend as well. With that in mind, if you have been following my series of videos and you haven't yet subscribed, then do please subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss any of my uploads or any bonus uploads I might do at any point, and you'll be notified when I do those. So with that out of the way, what are we going to be looking at today? Well, today, if you recall, if you've been following the channel, I did do a video of 5 useful items for Airsoft that were often overlooked by newer players and sometimes even by experienced players. I overlooked a lot of the items in that video when I first started in Airsoft, and it took me a while to twig how useful they were. So today what I thought I'd do is we'd do another video on 5 more useful items for Airsoft that, you know, might not be that exciting, but they do come in useful when we're out in the field, out of the game site. Okay? So what we're going to look at first, well, is these items here. These items, as many of you probably already know, are speed loaders. Now, I can't emphasize enough that speed loaders, as well as being a useful item, in a lot of cases they are essential. There are a lot of our Airsoft replica magazines that you cannot load without a speed loader. The same goes for some of our 40mm replica grenades and some of our BB expelling grenades that are gas grenades. Many of these things you need some sort of speed loader to load them. Now the reason I'm including these is because there is different types of speed loader, and you know, many of them will fill a different role and they vary in price greatly, but you will need some sort of speed loader. The most basic of speed loaders, excluding some of the free ones that you used to get that were like a little tube that you pushed a rod through to load your magazines. The most basic you see most of the time these days is one of these. It's limited how many rounds it can hold. This one says it holds 90. You could probably get a few more in than that BB wise. But they're very simple to use, they're very cheap. You open the window, you fill it with BBs, and you press the plunger to press your BBs into the magazine. If you're using mid-cap magazines, pistol magazines, and many of you will know you do need a speed loader. Take you ages if you do it one at a time with your hands. One of these particular speed loaders, you can pick them up for around, well, for an halfway decent one, you'll pick one up for around about £5 British. Now, they go up. I quite like these speed loaders. This is exactly the same principle as the speed loader I've just shown you. You fill it up, you've got a plunger to load your BBs in, you've got a little window at the top there for loading it up with BBs. However, this one will hold a lot more BBs. Now, if you're planning on going out in the field with mid-caps and you think you're going to be out for a long time in a game and you are going to need additional rounds, and you don't want to carry high caps, then these can come in handy as an in-between. You're still going to get the rattle, unfortunately. But this speed loader, as you may have noticed, is the same size as a standard Stanag magazine, which is a common replica magazine. It's the same size as an AR-15 magazine. So basically, that will fit in one of your magazine pouches if you're running any kind of Stanag mag. It'll fit in most mag pouches, to be honest, within reason. But I carry this one in the field quite regular. As you can probably tell, it's got a bit broken off there. These, again, are very affordable. They're only about £12, £13 for an halfway decent one. And they work really well. And because it fits in a mag pouch, you've always got a supply of BBs should you need to reload any of your magazines in the middle of a game or in between games if you're not going back to the safe zone. So that's another one well worth considering for in your collection. And then the final type of speed loader that are getting more and more common these days is the Odin style speed loader. Now, as standard, these are designed for reloading an AR-15 replica magazine or a Stanag magazine. You clip the magazine in the bottom. Obviously you would previously fill the device with BBs from the window at the top here, and then you wind the hand crank until it's full. Now I will admit this is a cheap replica. I wasn't able to get my hands on an Odin one at the time because stock can be very limited on Odins. You'll notice maybe on the communities, on social media, that there is a lot of 3D parts being manufactured for these to enable you to load all sorts of magazines, including pistol magazines, gas blowback magazines, all different types of AEG magazines using one of these. And these are by far and away the easiest and quickest way of loading a magazine. You just wind away and that's your magazine full. It takes no time at all. Now these are generally more expensive. Obviously if you need adapters for it, you're going to have to pay for those as well. But for the base one of these speed loaders, you're looking at anything up to £50 for a genuine Odin one, and then a little bit less than that if you're going to get one of the replicas. But they're very good. They do the job. The Odin ones are obviously the best, as far as I can tell from my friends at Airsoft who have managed to get their hands on one. They have a lot of features in there, such as a clutch, so they don't get damaged as easy, a bit more robust. But this one's been fine for me as well. It's worked absolutely no problem. So at a push, if you're out one of the replicas, I think this particular one is neutral. So yeah, there you go. Speed loaders, invaluable in the field. You want to get yourself some sort of speed loader. What I tend to do is I take a speed loader based on what I'm doing. If I'm sniping, I take one of these speed loaders because I don't need all the rounds that these offer. And with a few magazines and one of these, I've got more than enough rounds. I'll sometimes carry two of these, one for my sniper rifle magazines and one for my pistol magazines. And because they're so small, you can fit them in most pouches. If I'm running predominantly mid caps and I'm running one of my AR replicas, I'll tend to take this in one of my mag pouches somewhere out the way so that I can reload mid-game. And if I'm just running mid caps and I'm going more quiet, more stealthy, and I don't want the rattle, I'll keep this with me at the safe zone and I'll load up as many mid caps as I can with this, and it's very rapid. So that is speed loaders. Speed loaders are definitely something that should be on your list of useful Airsoft items. Okay, so next on our list is carrying equipment. I have seen a lot of newer players, this is probably more aimed at newer players, I've seen a lot of newer players go to a game with the replica and it's either just loose in the boot of the car or they take it in the box they bought it in. Now there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking your replica in the box you bought it in. The box should hopefully keep it safe and sound if you want to save some money. But what we're looking at here, as I say, is 5 useful items that for Airsoft that are often overlooked. Now this is a very basic bag, a very basic gun bag. I tend to use hard cases these days. I have mainly hard cases for my replicas. The reason I'm showing you this bag is because these bags are much more affordable and these are what I started with. And they don't take up as much room as a hard case either. There's a very nice one that New Pro make for a basic gun bag, and that's £17 approximately. About 17 to 18 pounds you can get the very basic gun bag for, which is similar to this one. This is a Swiss Arms one. Again, probably about the same price. They're very basic. Basically they're padded to keep your replica nice and safe. They have Velcro straps so you can strap your replica in. You've got pockets for magazines or anything else you might want to put in there. And then you've got carry handles to carry it and straps on the rear should you want to carry it like a backpack. Again, very affordable, very useful, especially here in the UK, and I would imagine in many other countries. The regulations for having your replica on display are very strict. You don't want to be walking around town or a public area with your replica out for everybody to see, because that could cause panic. People don't know whether it's real or not, and the rest of it, and the fact that it puts our sport into a bit of disrepute. So a gun bag or case is a necessity in my view. It makes it so much easier to carry your replica to site and away from site, and it's better for storing it in the car, stops it getting damaged, keeps it protecting. And for about £18, these are a good starting space. I sometimes still use this bag occasionally if I'm going very light to a game. but I mainly use cases. Now cases are maximum protection for your replica. They're a hard case with foam inserts. My preferred hard cases at the moment are Neutron. Those cases, if you're getting a basic gun bag like this, they're about £18. If you're wanting a hard case, you're going up to about £70, sometimes higher, depends on the manufacturer of the hard case, depends on the size of the hard case. But the hard cases that I use tend to not be above 70 British pounds. Now again, as always with these 5 items lists that I do, I will put a link in the description to all of these items and where you can get them if you should decide that you want one. But again, a bag to me is a must, and it's often overlooked, but a good carrying system for your replica or replicas will keep them safe, it'll keep you within the law, it'll make sure nobody else can see what you've got, and it keeps it well tidy. You can keep your replicas in the cases as well if you like, but again, you know, that's up to personal preference. So that's the next one on the list, is a gun case. Now next up is one that you might not think about straight at the start, but it's a selection of tools. Just a small selection of tools. I don't expect that anybody's going to start stripping down their replica gearbox in the middle of the field, but if you've been playing for a while, or even if you're new, you might have come across the fact that your replicas have developed a bit of a rattle. Something has come loose while you've been playing, either an Allen key or a screw or something. So in here, I just keep a base selection of sizes of Allen key. I also keep a little cloth for when I'm sniping, for cleaning off my lenses on my scopes. They're just little bits and bats that you might need. I'd also recommend screwdrivers. I keep that in one of my cases. Usually the main ones would be a very long Phillips screwdriver for buffer tubes on things like AR replicas. They can work themselves loose, and it's just a case of putting a long screwdriver down the buffer tube, tightening the screw up. That'll normally stop any rattles. Or you might have the odd Allen head come loose. There are all sorts of screws and fastenings on our replicas, whether that be gas blowback, whether it be an AG. But they do have a lot of screws on there on the externals. And it's happened more than one occasion to myself and to my friends at my home site, Tazball, where somebody's had something come loose. It is quite common for something on your replica to work loose, especially when you're running around and you're using it all day. So if you've got a small selection of tools handy, then yourself or your friends that you're playing with will be able to borrow those and tighten up any loose screws they have. Prices for tools, I'm not going to insult you with the prices. It depends on the quality of tools that you want to buy. And that's down to personal preference. You can get a cheap set of Allen keys for a couple of quid, for a couple of pounds sterling, should I say. You can get a number of screwdrivers for not a lot of money, but as many of you'll know, with hand tools, you do tend to get what you pay for, and the more you spend, the higher quality the hand tool will be. But again, as an emergency backup set of tools, I wouldn't spend a huge amount of money. These are only very cheap that are in here. My main tools I keep in my toolbox. I only use those when I'm working on replicas here at home. I wouldn't take those out into field with me in case I'm getting lost. But for a basic set of tools, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Some Allen keys, some screwdrivers, maybe a bit of grease, silicone grease, and a bit of silicone oil would be worthwhile to have as well in your little toolkit. But whatever you want to make up, whatever you think you'll need, little tools come in handy. So that's that there. So what are we going to look at next? Well, next we've got a bag. Now this particular bag isn't one that I always take with me out in the field. I have taken it out in the field. But what I mean by this is a little rucksack, and this more predominantly applies to if you play outdoor or woodland games like I do. In a skirmish game, very often you will have a number of games out in the field before you go back to the safe zone. Now, I don't regularly carry a bag, but a lot of my friends that play at my home site do, and it comes in very handy. The one that I have that I would take out in the field with me is a Viper modular one-day pack. That backpack, it can go on molly. So basically it's attached to my plate carrier. So it's always with me if I'm wearing a plate carrier. This is just a very small day back. You can carry all sorts in these. You can carry extra BBs in there. You can carry gas for any gas blowback systems or any gas powered systems that you have. You can carry additional grenades, smokes, that type of thing, a drink, all sorts of things, your little tools, whatever you want, you can carry in this little rucksack, and you can take it out on the field with you. Now, when I take a rucksack out on the field, if I'm not using my plate carrier, I tend to leave the rucksack at my spawn point. So you don't have to run around in the field with it, but if it's at your spawn point and you find that you need to re-gas pistol mags or anything like that, you have your little bag there and it's got stuff in it that you need. So a little bag can be worthwhile having. For the Viper one-day modular pack that I use, generally, you're talking around about 30 British pounds. So you can get a decent molly attachable rucksack for about 30 British pounds. And again, they're well worth having. It's something that is very useful. Comes in very handy being able to carry additional gas, BBs, maybe even batteries. Might want to carry an additional battery in there. It just depends how long you're going to be out in the field for. So that's another item that's worth considering. And then the final item has saved my skin more times than I can count. And this, you'll have to ignore the tie wraps on there. That's where, when I've been through chrono, they put the tie wraps on my pistols when it's been chronoed. Because this is a pistol lanyard, a basic pistol lanyard. For the money you pay for these, they're worth having in my opinion. £7 will get you a lanyard just the same as this one. So very affordable. You can get those on Amazon for, I think it was £6.99 when I had a look. And basically all it does is you clip the pistol lanyard to your pistol's lanyard point. Now don't come back up here, I know that not all pistols have a lanyard point, but most of my ones do. I only have the odd one that doesn't, and there are ways around it if you want to have a lanyard point on there. But anyway, if you have a pistol lanyard point, that is exactly what these are for. This Velcro section here basically clips around your belt loop or around your belt or around a molly pouch or whatever you want to clip it to on yourself. The other end clips to the pistol. I have never had any issues with this causing problems for me drawing the replica or pointing the replica because it is on a bungee. And what it basically does is it means that if your pistol for any reason falls out the holster, if you drop your pistol, if for any reason you would normally misplace your pistol, and let's remember, if you're running a gas blowback pistol, some of these pistols aren't cheap. If for any reason it disappears, especially in a woodland game where it could end up in bushes, long grass, all sorts of vegetation, this will prevent you losing your pistol because your pistol is fastened to you. So at the very worst, you're going to end up dragging your pistol a little bit, or it's going to be bouncing off your leg. You're going to notice when it falls anyway, and it's not going to fall, and you're not going to notice, and it's not going to disappear in the bushes. And if you set this up right, it's not going to hit the deck and end up getting damaged either. And for £7, I think they're well worth it and very often overlooked. So there we go, that's our 5 items for this time. We've got a pistol lanyard, a bag for carrying your bits and bats when you're in the field if you don't think you'll be back for a while, some basic tools, just a very small selection of cheap tools just in case something works loose on your replica that's simple to tighten up and you'd otherwise be in trouble if you didn't have it, some sort of carrying system for your replicas, and speed loaders of varying types, and pick the type of speed loader specifically for your type of play and what you might need. So there we go. So I hope you found that video useful. I hope there's 5 items there that you think might be useful to you and you hadn't thought of already. I would imagine a lot of players will already have most of these things, but if you don't, then great, you know, these are things worth having. If you did enjoy the video, then please do drop a like on it. If you have any questions for me about any of the gear I've shown you here, or if you have any comments about the video in general, then do drop me a comment below. I'll always respond to comments. I might not get back to you straight away, but I will always respond to a comment. And if you want any more content from myself, then obviously subscribe to the channel. You'll be able to see all the uploads that I do. And also, if you want any more content, go on Facebook or Instagram. But until then, I'll see you in the next one.